This is a story that shook not just the city of Charlotte, but the entire world. A young woman who fled the war in search of a future lost her life in a place that should have been the safest of all, a simple city train. Her name was Irina Zarutska. She was only 23 years old. She dreamed of a peaceful life. She was building her future, but it all ended in just a matter of seconds. August 22nd, 2025. Just an ordinary evening in Charlotte, North Carolina. People rushing home after work. Irina boards the Lynx Blue Line train. She looks down at her phone. It feels like nothing more than a routine ride. Behind her sits a man in a red hoodie. They don't speak. They don't even exchange a glance. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. But just a few minutes later, the man pulls out a knife. He strikes Irina several times. It happens fast. In seconds, passengers scream in panic, scrambling for the doors. The surveillance cameras capture every move. The train halts at East-West Boulevard Station. People try to save her, but it's already too late. The suspect is arrested on the platform. His name, Decarlos Brown Jr., 34 years old. Who was this young woman whose death caused such an outcry? Irina was born on May 22, 2002, in Kyiv. From childhood, she was drawn to art. She studied at the Synergy College, specializing in art and restoration. She worked on preserving decorative paints and historical objects, but her interests went far beyond that. Sculpture, fashion design, photography. Irina dreamed of working with animals. She wanted to become a veterinary assistant. In August of 2022, together with her mother, her brother, and her sister, she left Ukraine. The war had taken her home, but it had not taken away her hope. The family settled in Charlotte. Irina learned English quickly, made friends, and began building her future. In her obituary, her family wrote, "She was happiest when she was surrounded by loved ones. Her passing leaves a deep void, but her memory will forever remain in our hearts." Her life was only just beginning. The suspect's story is very different. Decarlos Brown, 34 years old, a resident of Charlotte. Behind him, a long criminal record, 14 arrests, theft, robbery, even armed robbery. In total, 8 years in prison. Brown was homeless. According to his family, he suffered from schizophrenia. He heard voices. He saw hallucinations. At times, he even attacked his own relatives. His sister told reporters, "We knew he was dangerous. We tried to get him treatment, but the system just kept releasing him, again and again." In the beginning of 2025, the court released him on bond. The reason? His mental health problems. And just a few months later, this man ended up sitting behind Irina in that train car. The young woman's death sparked outrage across the United States. Charlotte's mayor, Viola Lyles, called the killing a tragic failure of the courts and promised to strengthen security on public transit. Governor Josh Stein declared, "We need more police officers on the streets so people can feel safe." President Donald Trump responded sharply, "The animal that so brutally murdered this beautiful young woman from Ukraine must be sentenced only to the death penalty. There can be no other option." His words ignited a storm of debate. Conservatives accused Democrats of being soft on crime. Republicans pointed to the failure of the so-called revolving door policies that let repeat offenders walk free again and again. In response, Democrats accused their opponents of racial rhetoric and of using Irina's tragedy for political gain. Republican lawmakers went even further, saying that punishment should fall not only on criminals, but also on judges who release them back onto the streets. Brown now faces charges of first-degree murder and also a federal charge, committing an act resulting in death on public transit. The punishment could be the harshest of all, life in prison or the death penalty. The U.S. Attorney General has already promised to push for the maximum sentence. If the verdict is carried out, Brown would become the first person in North Carolina to be sentenced to death since 2006. Irina's murder became a national story. In Charlotte, at the station where it all happened, a memorial was created. People bring flowers, candles, and photographs. Across American cities, there are calls to honor her memory with murals. Her family buried Irina in Charlotte, but her father, still in Ukraine, was never able to say goodbye. He was not allowed to leave the country. This tragedy touched thousands of people who had never even known her. The story of Irina Zarutska is not just a tragedy. It's the story of broken promises, of a system that was supposed to protect her. She escaped bombs and war, only to become the victim of violence in a place that should have been safe. And that's what makes her death so haunting, because untreated mental illness can turn into danger on our streets. And if nothing changes, if society keeps looking the other way, stories like Irina's will happen again.